that's like a period of rest or sometimes distraction.
Yes.
And an aspect of this that I want to emphasize that I had really predicted in my books a long time ago. We're not talking about last year or something like that. We're talking about in the 90s. Is that in this particular time period here, there would be a significant economic downturn. If anything, I might have, I probably expected this to have happened a little bit earlier in the year.
Mm-hmm.
I also expected it to have been more deep, so to speak. But it may be that things are, the energies are changing today so quickly that there is somehow more of a delay in how these things are being actually expressed in the human life. And you know, I live here in Seattle in the U.S. and I think the economy here now has come to a point where there really is very little maneuver for governmental interventions, and you know, it just needs one more thing to trigger some kind of a serious spiral downward.
Right.
And this is something I could easily imagine will happen, and this is all part of the energy of our particular time period, basically the year 2008.
So what you're saying is that the wax and wane, if you will, of an economy of a country or a nation, or even on a global level, is something that is mirrored, or there's a structure to that, and what you have found is that this is a structure that exists within the Mayan calendar, and when we look upon the calendar and interpret it in this way, we can see that there is a natural flow or movement of economies. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's economists have been studying the cycles of economy for a long time, and but what they haven't studied is the reason why are there any cycles to begin with.
Yeah.
That's not an obvious thing, but from the Mayan calendar's perspective, the reason is that this wave movement, waxing and waning, this days and nights, is actually a wave movement of human creativity, where the new pulses of light will give rise to innovations, ideas, people making business of different kinds of things, whereas the nights, these times in between, are periods that when people are more integrating, where they are resting in a sense, mentally speaking, and it's not a period of great innovativeness. And so this changing human mind is what the Mayan calendar describes. And I think that the economy, ultimately, it goes back to this change in the human mind, where there are peaks and there are valleys in human creativity. And that's really these changes ultimately as part of a cosmic plan, and find their ultimate origin in the cosmic world tree, in my way of understanding.
So what you, I guess, could say here also then is that although the economy right now seems to be on a downward spiral, this doesn't necessarily mean that it will collapse and never, regain strength again, right?
Well, yeah, it's I think there is a you might talk about these wave movements as sort of a divine plan for creation, and that's also the way that it's talked about in the Bible, the 7 days and 6 nights, and you might again wonder, is there a reason for this? If you put yourself, assume that you're God, how would you create the world?
Right.
And but then you would the Hindus, they have this idea that the god Shiva is both the creator and the the destroyer.
Yes.
It's a God that destroys in order to create the space for something new to emerge.
Yeah.
So if you really are in for sort of creating something, then you have to be open that you actually have to see certain old things pass away in order for the new to find the space to be born. There is some kind of a reason for this way of periods of slower movement forward and faster movement forward and so forth.
Yes, interesting. Would you say that the next step, because again, if we actually look at what many of the politicians, albeit that they are doing this in a kind of in the back room, if you will, but they are in the process of creating something called the Amero. If we talk about the American economy, we have the euro in Europe and so forth. Is this something that you think is on the following this agenda or this plan, if you will, then?
That I could not tell. I look upon the current world economy very much as like a big monopoly game, and
yes.
For quite some time now, back to 1972, there really hasn't been any kind of backing of the monetary system in any kind of real values. That's the time then when the gold standard was completely emitted. It was left behind.
Yes.
Since then, I think basically the economy has been about printing money and expanding economic exchanges in different ways, essentially without this kind of a sound grounding that always exists if you have some kind of a gold standard or some whatever kind of a standard that ties the money system to that. So what I'm trying to say here is that I think there's way too much paper money out there or
yes.
digital money out there, and there is no foundation for it, and that may then that's why the economic system is shaky, and there's really no certain ways of doing anything about it. But then, if there is a big somehow a clearance, you might say, where this kind of paper digital world of economics somehow comes to an end, well, then of course there is a time to find some new basis, and I really have no idea how that would look.
Yes.
It depends so much on political strength and so forth.
Of course. If we move away from the monetary system a little bit and talk about some of the high points, if you will, of these different shifts you're describing in the calendar. I think, if I'm correct, that around 1992 there was an entry point into the next level of the calendar, and I think that you claimed or mentioned that the computer network or even the internet was a significant step or shift up into another level. Do you have any idea at this point what the next kind of high point or next shift will be when we go over?
Oh, I see. Well, no, the straight answer is no.
Right.
But, I'm more inclined to see how much things have sort of become unreal, and that's what I mean by that is what I exemplified with the economy, where sort of things have gone out of hand, it's more like I'm looking for those things to clear, and I'm convinced though that the end, the sort of the intended end result of creation as such is on the ninth level, and it's going to be a shift in consciousness, which is so that it becomes non-dualistic, so that it doesn't generate the kind of conflicts and the kind of limitations, generally speaking, that we have been submitted to for a long time.
Yeah.
But that's just in very general terms. And so I'm at this point I'm not so. I really have little to say when it comes to making exact predictions about what will happen at this time.
Right, I understand. Let's talk a little bit about the calendar end date then, because there is many people who are still within the alternative community, of course, but on the mainstream side of that, so to speak, that are looking towards 2012, the 21st of December. You're looking at the October the 28th, 2011. Tell us a little bit how you came to this conclusion and what you consider to be kind of the main differences between these two different factions, so to speak.
Yeah, well, it's quite a. I should begin here by saying that there are a number of people now that are sort of, you might say, experts in the Mayan calendar and presenting their own ideas about it and so forth, and I'm one of those. And but I think I can honestly say that I'm the only one of those that has gained the respect and approval of the Mayan elders themselves. And so I have quite a relationship with Don Alejandro Osla, who is the head of the Council of Elders of the Maya. And I should say to begin with here, he rejects the December 21, 2012 date.
Mm-hmm.
So when people say the Maya are saying that, I don't know who they are referring to. So in that, he's not, I'm not saying that he's agreeing with my date, but he clearly rejects the December 21 date. And he rejects this on the basis, he says, this is a misunderstanding of the archaeologists. They have miscalculated when they have tried to correlate our calendar to the Christian calendar.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm in my own view anyway, I'm in good company when I'm rejecting that date.
Right.
And I think the reason that it has caught on is that it does it does conform then to an idea about astronomy, that's a date when the midwinter sun supposedly is in some kind of a position. And as I said earlier, this doesn't mean anything to me, because if you think the Mayan calendar is about astronomy, then you're very likely to have completely misunderstood it, because it's about the changing mind of human beings and how this is being affected by the totality of the cosmos rather than on single astronomical events. So that's part of it. It's also the reason is that Don Alejandro he says that there is he talks about the prophecy of 13 Ahau. This is an energy in the Mayan calendar, which is part of their sacred calendar system of 260 different days, with each has a spiritual quality of their own.
Yes.
And so now 13 Ahau is the last of these 260 days. So it's sort of a completion, energetic